Good morning. Thanks for coming out. Thank you, Daniel, for introducing me. And my passionate talk for today is about the economy. And I want to talk about it at the local level. But what I'm going to be talking about can apply to the local level, the national level, and the world level. So maybe just to clarify what economy and economics is about is human behavior in relationship to resources. So resources can be the earthly resources such as water, oil, fisheries, agriculture, etc. Other resources, human resources, financial resources, information resources, and space and time as well. So maybe I'd be interested to know what people's thoughts are on the current economy in New Brunswick. How many like the current economy in New Brunswick? How many not too happy? Okay, I'm seeing more like that. It's interesting. They call economics the dismal science, and I'll explain why they call that. But I also want to end on a happy note. There is a lot of good news to talk about as well. But anyway, I'll start with just a bit about myself. So my name's Robert Stewart. I'm a chartered accountant, certified management consultant by background, and so a business orientation. 20 years ago, I got into the realm of peace, and peace at the individual level, family level, community level, and world level. And what is peace? It's helping people to be more successful in relationships, how to get along better with others. So better communication, how to build better relationships, how to transform conflict, that type of thing. And more recently, my attention, after working in peace for 20 years, has focused on the economy. And the reason is because economics can lead to peace, or it can lead to not peace. And I guess other to know about me, I'm a Libra, so I have a sort of foundation in things like fairness, justice, truth. I'm also a father, and so I have the love for children in that, not only my own children, but all children. And when you hear about some of the atrocities that happen, the suffering that our children go through, that concerns me a lot. And one of the things I'm a big believer in is the indigenous philosophy that everything we do, we should consider the next 7 generations and the impact it's going to have on 7 generations, the future generations. So in my work, I've developed over the years a peace toolkit of resources that I bring to help individuals, families, communities, organizations, businesses, governments, etc. So back to the economics part of it. They call economics the dismal science, and it's for the reason there's 2 fundamental bases to economic philosophy as we see it today. The first is the idea of scarcity, that there's only so many resources to go around, and so we have to manage them in a way. And the second core philosophy to modern day economics is the idea of self-interest. In other words, that individuals do things out of self-interest to maximize the return on them. The problem with those 2 foundational values are that it leads to greed and excessive materialism, control and power struggle, and violence and exploitation. So, for example, people talk about the reason there's so many wars is because it's a profitable business. And you can see in our media, violence sells. You see it on TV, you see it in the movies, even see it in the hockey arenas. There's an adage that red ice sells tickets, so they encourage fights in hockey. I was interested to find that the Calgary hockey team had a boxing coach to help their players be better at that. I'm reminded of a quote by Gandhi, who is probably the preeminent peace person that I can think of in modern times, at least. And he had composed an article in his newspaper about the 7 deadly values. And of those, commerce without morality was a key one, wealth without work, pleasure without conscience, knowledge without character, science without humanity, politics without principle, and ego. And if you read the papers these days, I think you can read that a lot of those values are the things that are overshadowing things in our society today. In fact, I would suggest that our current economic systems are rather dysfunctional. Having said that, I do believe there is great hope. There's a lot of good work going on. I've done a fair amount of research now, finding articles, books, videos, organizations that are all working in this area. And if there's where the dismal science of economics, as I said, had focused on 2 rather negative values, scarcity and self-interest, I think the way of the future, what we see coming, is turning that around to 2 key positive values, and that is the value of abundance, seeing the abundance that we have everywhere in our lives. And the second thing is the common interest. And as those values come more and more into our society, and you see them, as you probably see on Facebook, the beautiful thing today, one of the key resources is information. And information is the first real resource that you can see that's really abundant. And we're getting the benefit today in our society of this information becoming more and more available. It's creating more and more organizations and people who are working in this field to improve our values in our local areas, in our personal lives. One organization here in this area is Transition Beauséjour, which I've become a member of, and is an organization of people who are getting together, looking at the various things of how to make our local economy and society more sustainable, viable. In this new way that I see coming, I see the positive values coming of more sharing, equality, and better relations. And I think you really see it at the community level when people start working together to make things happen. So the positive message that I wanted to bring is that where right now you can read an awful lot of negative information about our economies and what's happening around the world. There's markets collapsing. You hear about China, stock market down, Greece going bankrupt, things like that. there is a lot of positive things coming too. A lot of new ways of doing things, how to be less reliant on things like oil. But it's important that we do things, because one of the things that's becoming a scarce resource is fresh water. I was just in California and hearing the stories there about what's happening, about they're suffering significant drought. Meanwhile, I was told about a Japanese company that was there taking 300,000 liters of water a day to bottle, to sell as bottled water, and there's nothing the community can do about it. And one community of 7,000 has no water. So you can imagine what's going to happen as if there's struggles over water. So it's important for us, I think, to do something, to make a difference in the way things are going, and to be able to stop exploitation like that. And what I'm suggesting as a way forward is doing things like having conversations like this, having conferencing take place, all to bring together the information of what we can do better to improve these values that are guiding our economies. And I do believe that the majority of people have much more positive values. It's unfortunate that there's a small proportion of the population that has really succumbed to these excess greed, excess materialism, and anything for a buck type of approach. So, and I do believe that we're all in this together. You know, since we've seen the pictures of the Earth and know how relatively small it is, we get a whole different perspective that we have to share the Earth with each other and make the most of it. And I don't believe that we can rely upon our governments or our lords of commerce to resolve these problems that I'm talking about. I think we have to get together as concerned citizens, concerned for ourselves, for our families, for our neighborhoods, for our community. And really take a look at what we have to do, at least on a local level, to ensure a sustainable, viable community here, and for our future generations. And many of you, I know many people in New Brunswick have been hit, for example, where their children can't get jobs locally and they have to move away to places like Alberta to work in the oil patch and that. And I think we're better than this. I think we can do a lot better. So I've taken on a responsibility to organize a conference this November 13 to 15 here in Shediac at the Multipurpose Center on this very topic, a New Brunswick economy, and to invite people from around the province, a broad spectrum of people, to come together in an open space situation to bring their ideas to the table. And I really do believe that the wisdom is within our communities, within our province, to do it better. In the process of preparing for the conference, we're going to prepare a website that brings together the vast amount of information that's available on this very important topic. And it is amazing what has been written, some wonderful, wonderful books available for people. So I would like to invite you to get involved in the conversation. If this topic interests you, there's things that you can do. If you're interested to come to the conference, November 13 to 15th, I would invite that. And I would open up if there's any questions that anybody would have. No? Okay, well, thank you for coming, and I invite you to get involved with the local economy. And Transition Beauséjour is one organization here that you could get involved with if you're interested to get involved more. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.